Good morning, all of you. Today we are going to see something about this software testing. As we have already seen the software testing process, we need to have that control, plan and control, design, analyze, and then implement the test cases and execute those. And then also we need to find the closure strategy, how to close it. So today we are going to start this software testing with a new feeling where we will start with what is an error, what are the defects, and when we call it a failure. Then we will see what are the strategies for making the testing successful. We will see basic strategy, maybe how they are, how testing is performed. Means what should be the best principle for performing the software testing. So am I audible? Okay, so we are starting with what is error, bugs, or failure. Basically, errors are the mistakes made by the human, while coding or while designing or maybe while gathering requirement. So whatever the mistakes done by the human, by the people, they will be considered as errors. And testers are not finding errors actually. Because of these mistakes, because of these errors, the system may have some defects, and the testers are trying to find these defects. So error is something which is done by the human unintentionally, definitely. There is something called defect. What is a defect? Defect is the bug. You can also call it a bug or a fault, which is present in the system and can be discovered. The thing is, this defect may lead to failure. Let me start with here that defect is a flaw in your component which can cause the component or the system to fail. A system or component fails in two cases. First, when the requirement is not met, means the system is not performing according to the requirement, or second, when the system crashes, some exception occurs and the system goes down. No other function can be executed. So different kind of defects can be there. So these defects are to be found by the tester. So what is a failure? Failure is the scene where the system fails. Means it is not performing according to the requirement, or because of certain mistake some defects remain and the system got operational and then it failed. Failed means it is not performing. The two conditions I told you, it is not performing according to the requirement, and the other is it may fail completely, where no other function is also supported. So this is something about error, bugs, and failure. If you have to ask something, you can ask. Today only few students are there, so you can unmute whenever you want. The other thing is the typical scenario. You can see here what we are showing is there are 4 steps. One can be requirement gathering, maybe another can be design process, and the other part is coding. we are trying to understand what will be the cost of repair uh, if the errors are detected early or errors are detected late, or we are seeing that there are three phases: requirement or design or coding. So what happens if the requirement was not correct? This is the fourth case where the requirement was not correct. If the requirement was not correct, maybe whatever we do in design or coding phase, they will remain incorrect. So, if at all the requirement was correct but the design was not correct, in that case, whatever coding we do, it will be incorrect according to our requirement. You know? Similarly, it may happen that the requirement was correct and the design was also correct, but because of certain mistakes, the coding was wrong. So what we want is all the three should be correct, right? Now the thing is, what the tester needs to do. Does the tester have to see only the code part or the other things also? The answer is yes. Uh, all the things starting from the requirement to the design and through the code, everything should be tested. Maybe at certain point when we test the code, it will be called as testing. At certain other places, it may be called as verification, where it is just a document, requirement document or design document. We just don't test it. It is called verification. You can also call it as review. There are certain documents and you go through those documents to find the defects in them. So if we find the defects early, it is better. Why? Because as we find the defects late, we will have to incur multiplicative increase in the cost of repair. So according to a survey that we have seen, if we find the requirement in design phase, the cost will be 2 times, and if we find this requirement during coding, during implementation, and even after release, so there you can see it has multiplicative increase. So now we can understand there is something called quality. Means quality is actually the degree to which a component, system or process meets a specified requirement, whatever needs, reliability, performance, whatever, these are all the things whatever given. So according to the requirement, it should meet. This will show that our system is reliable, it has acceptable performance, so the quality improves. Okay, in a way, what I want to say is testing is being done to show that our system is having the desired qualities. That is the thing. Now the other thing is risk. What is the risk? Risk is a factor that could result in future negative consequences. Something may happen in future. Okay, some failure, some negative thing may happen in the failure. So how it is expressed? It is expressed as what can be the impact if it happens, and what is the probability. Likelihood means what is probability that this may happen. So the whole effort of testing will remain to reduce this risk. Okay, so we want to reduce this risk to a minimum level, okay, which should be acceptable, and we want to do this before releasing the software to the customers or users, you know. Now, so we use this testing effort to measure the quality, and show the customers and users that yeah, this system is having proper quality. How do we do that? If we are able to design the requirements and test plan, test cases, then we are able to measure it. Means we can have a measure that what are the rate of defect discovery, okay, the number of known defects, okay. These are certain measures that we have found from the testing results. So similarly, other measures can also be, you can see all those measures, and then what are the extent to the test coverage, that we have covered all the paths, we have tested in this path, and different other paths. So in the test cases, in the test planning, through the test cases were designed, in that phase you have specified that these many test paths are there to cover, and these are the test cases designed, and among the test cases here now you are measuring how many test cases were covered, how many paths were covered, so many different things. So overall you can say that this much percentage of the test were covered, among those which this much were passed and this much failed. So based on these measures you can show the quality of your system. So here what we are saying is testing can be used for showing or reflecting the quality of the software. Then when can you think now testing is enough? When can you stop testing? So basically you know that exhaustive testing is not possible. So in a way you will always keep finding errors, I should say defects. So there should be a time when you have to stop the testing. So there are different opinions in the literature. Some of them say that yes, you cannot say that you have tested everything. So after some time, you will have to shift this burden to the users. Some of them say that okay, uh, you can have some budget, some schedule, some estimate, and according to that, when your time or money goes out, you can stop testing. However, there are some literatures who suggest that there can be some statistical modeling uh, according to the software reliability and its the measures of the testing results, so that we could decide that yes, now testing can be completed. We can say that yeah, we have designed these many test cases. So now 90% tests or 95% test, whatever, these many percent of tests have passed successfully. In that case, we can stop the testing. So, or the rate at which the defects were discovered earlier in a start, it was more, and now it has become very low. So now very less defects are coming. So we can now stop the testing. So these kind of some way can be there for stopping the testing. So, what is the testing? So, if we see the definition, it says that it is a process consisting of all life cycle activities. All life cycle activities means it starts right from the requirement phase and goes through maintenance. Okay, so it is a, I should say, umbrella activity which remains there throughout. The only thing is, maybe at some times it is just going through the documents. Sometimes it may be going through the running system. So sometimes it may be called as static, where we don't have a running system, we are not testing the running system. And sometimes it may be dynamic. Okay, dynamic means when the system is running. So this is a process consisting of all life cycle activities, both static and dynamic, concerned with planning, preparation, and evaluation of software products and related work products. Related work product means different other documents, to determine that they satisfy the specified requirements, to demonstrate that they are fit for purpose, and to detect defects. Okay. Okay, so this is something about testing. If you have some questions, you can ask anytime. So here we are talking about objectives of testing. What can be the objectives of testing be? We want to find the defects. Okay, we are performing this testing for finding the defects, such as the identification of failures during test execution. Maybe that would lead to discovery of the underlying defects, right? Another thing is gaining confidence in the level of quality. When these tests, considering a high risk, pass, and when the failures that are observed in other tests are considered acceptable. Okay, you can understand it like we are performing the testing to measure the level of quality. So if we are able to show that this much level of quality has been achieved, we gain confidence in the system. That is the thing. Another thing is providing information for decision making. So once we test the system, we get some report, some result that these are the test cases, something happened, something didn't happen, these requirements were met, these requirements were not met, and this much cost will be needed, this much whatever. So according to that, some decisions can be made. Another thing is preventing defects. Preventing defects means whenever if we are able to find the defects early, we can prevent the future defects. However, these objectives are not universal, that these are the only objectives. Different objectives may be there according to the stakeholders in a different scenario. Now, the testing principles. You have already seen these testing principles in your earlier classes. So, what are the testing principles? It is just that we here try to, okay, wait a minute. Here we try to show the presence of defects. So testing can show that the defects are present, but cannot prove that there are no defects. Basically, testing reduces the probability of undiscovered defects remaining in the software. But even if no defects are found, it is not a proof of correctness. So testing only shows that defects are present, It cannot show that, it cannot prove that there is no defect. Another principle was exhaustive testing. Exhaustive testing is not possible. We have already gone through that. It will all, I should say, all combination of inputs and preconditions cannot be tested. It's not feasible, right? Now there was early testing. Early testing means if we find the defects early, testing activities shall be started as early as possible, right? So if we start the testing activities early, we find the defects early, and if we find the defects early, we gain some time, right? We can save some time for defect removal, right? Okay. Another thing is defect clustering. You would have heard, sorry, we have already seen there was something called Pareto principle, where the 80% of defects remain in 20% of the this thing code system. There is pesticide paradox. What it says means, if the same tests are repeated over and over again, eventually the same set of test cases will no longer find new defects, right? So what is suggested is, every time we can permute the test cases, we can consider new test cases to find new defects, right? If we are performing the testing again, right? Another thing is testing is context dependent, means according to the situation, according to the system, right? According to the system, different kind of testing may be required. Maybe if it is security critical software, we may need a different kind of approach. If it is an e-commerce website, we will need a different kind of approach. So these are the testing is context dependent. Another thing is absence of errors. Fallacy means, okay, see, absence of errors. Fallacy. The thing is, finding and fixing defects does not help if the system built is unusable. Okay, if unusable means it is not fulfilling the user's requirement. I should say user's need or expectation, right? So it doesn't mean the user's expectation. Even if it is error free, it is of no use, right? So we should also consider to meet the user's expectation, right? This is the thing. Means we should also recognize here, and not only the defects, but also recognize that whether the user's expectations are meeting or not. Okay. Now, what can be the testing strategy? So how it starts, basically, you can see inside here we have the code and the unit testing. So basically unit testing begins at the here in the center, I should say, where it deals with the source code. Developers are there which will code it. They have the source code, they are most aware of the code, and they will also perform the unit test. Now it will also be a debate who should perform the unit test, right? So it is also suggested that the developer as well as independent testers should perform the testing. So what will happen here in unit testing? You have the source code and you will go through the source code. All the paths should be tested. All the conditions, all the variety of things, variety of inputs should be given and it should be tested. Means unit testing means testing for each unit, each independent module, right? Then it goes through integration testing. Independent codes, independent modules are tested. After that, we integrate them, and then we again test. There, what we are going through? We are going through design part. So basically, with this units, we are constructing the software architecture, the whole architecture of the system, and then we are also testing the design part, whether it can integrate nicely or not. Due to integration, new errors are coming or not, new defects, I should say. Then after that integration, we go through validation testing, where we see that all the requirements are met or not. What we are building, what we have got here, it is it is meeting the requirement or not. Everything is going through is according to the requirement or not. After that, the whole system is there, and which is tested for finding the different system specifications like security, performance, stress, and those all the things, reliability kind of things. After that, this is another view of it, where it is saying that initially test focuses on each independent module, right? Each component where unit testing is performed. So unit testing makes heavy use of testing techniques. Testing techniques we will discover, we will see there are certain testing techniques. So here the testing techniques are heavily used. Boundary value analysis, equivalence partitioning, and these are the things, different kind of ways to give inputs and find out the match the output with the expected output. So what happens? Okay, here we perform different kind of testings. After that, we integrate these to form the system, right? So here we address the issues associated with, I should say, problems of verification and program construction. So how these are integrated, when these are integrated, whether new errors are encountered or not. After that, we have higher order testing, validation testing, where we will see that whether all the functions, behavior, or the performance as we want, they are according to the requirement or not, right? After this, some higher order test will be for the system testing, where it will be for finding out whether it is performing well in the environment or not, where we will include the related hardware, related people, we will include the related database and different other things. We will form the whole system, and then we will see its performance, whether it is acceptable performance or not, right? So there are certain strategies, we can go through the books. It is just the same kind of principle kind of thing, that yeah, these are the things they should do. Product requirement or quantifiable manner, these, that. So these are the strategies you can see in the book. Basically, in unit testing, what happens? Unit testing focuses on verification effort on the small unit of the software design, right? Basically, for a module, you design different test cases. Okay, test cases based on its interface, maybe local data structures, boundary conditions. You want to check whether it is working correctly on the boundary or not. You want to check all the independent paths, that it goes in this way or maybe that way, all the paths are working correctly or not. Okay, whether there are error handling paths or not. In certain cases, we miss to give the error handling options. What happens when some error occurs? So these all the things have to be done in the unit testing. Basically, you can think like unit testing is the place where more testing occurs, right? So here actually all the independent paths through the control structure, they will be tested. You have already seen boundary, and these all the things can be tested, है ना? So after that, if something remains, we go for understanding something about how it is, how the testing of this module is done. Okay, basically you have this module, but you don't have that module which calls this module. Neither you have the other modules which are being called by this module. In that case, you may need some driver and some stubs. Okay, this is your module to be tested. You will have some driver and some stubs. This driver may be the real code, or maybe a dummy code where you have just a function call. Okay, so a function call from this module to your module, then your module is having the code, right? Another can be some stubs. The stub are those subordinates which are invoked by your module. Okay, so your module is calling these modules. So what happens? You don't have these modules, then you create a dummy module, right, which will not have actual process, which will just return some value. Okay, return as expected. You are calling from here, and whatever you expect here, this module will just return it, and nothing will be done here. Hello. Another thing is driver, which will not have other functionalities, but only one functionality of calling this module, invoking this module, I should say. So in unit testing, you have this unit, you have this module, and for testing this module, you need drivers and stubs. Okay, sometimes you may have the real code in a stub or real code in driver, but it doesn't matter. If you don't have, you will use dummy modules. These dummy modules may be called drivers, which will call your module, and may be called stubs, which are called by your module. Okay, so the intention is just to find all the defects, possible defects in interface, maybe local data, data structures, data input output, boundary conditions. Basically, in most cases, what happens, the system fails at boundary, that the system will take input between 1 to 10. So basically what happens, we expect the user to give data between 1 and 10, but there should be a proper condition. We should have a mechanism to find out that the value is within the range or not. So boundary value analysis will check on what happens at 1, 2 and 0, what happens at 10, 9 and 11. So in this way we try to see that whether we have done all the things. I should say we have handled the possible errors or not. Then we go for integration testing. What happens in integration testing? In integration testing, basically it is systematic technique for constructing the software architecture, while at the same time we conduct the tests to uncover the errors. So basically what happens here, you have already tested, I should say, modules. Okay, you are calling them units. They are already tested modules. Now, if all of them are working correctly individually, so why do you doubt that they will work or not when they are put together? They are all tested modules. They are all tested modules. They had their drivers and stuffs when they were testing. So they should work correctly when they are just kept together, right? Put together. Does it happen or not? So many times, I said many times, most of the times, it doesn't happen. What happens if we put them together and see, we find that there are some problems. Okay, one component means one component is interacting with another component, so there can be certain problems. What can be the problems? Maybe data can be lost across the interface. One component can have an adverse effect on another, right? Maybe sub functions are not giving the correct output or something. Some defects are discovered here. So what happens? One approach is we will have to test, right? We will have to test. We cannot just put together and give it. So we will keep these modules together and test. Now, what can we do? One thing is Big Bang approach. What can be the Big Bang approach? You will keep all the units together, okay, but you will not release it. You will keep the all the modules together and then test the whole system at once. If you will test the whole system at once, what will happen? It may lead to chaos. Means many kind of problems will come, many kind of defects will be encountered, and you don't know where the defect is coming from. Tracing the defect in the whole system will be difficult. So what you are going to do is incremental approach. Okay, in incremental approach, what you will do, you will have the modules, the smaller modules, and you will make a small increments. Okay, you will add 2 modules and then the third one, then again test, then the fourth one, perform the test again. Okay, maybe the new tests also and few tests from the older test cases also, right? So one by one you keep on adding and testing. That will be incremental approach. How it can be done? It can be done in 2 ways, maybe top-down strategy or a bottom-up strategy, right? So in top-down strategy, what will happen? You will start from the main control module and go on adding the next stubs, right? And bottom up, what will happen? You will start from the smallest module, smallest unit, and keep on adding the new drivers, right? So in top-down integration, what will happen? Modules are integrated by moving downward, right? So you start from the top module and you go through, go by adding the modules downward. Now in the last slide you have seen there were 2 approaches in the top-down strategy. One was depth first, another is breadth first, right? In depth first, what happens? Starting from M1, you go to M2, means you add M2 with its dummy stuffs, right? For M1, initially what happened? You have M1 with 3 dummy stubs, right? And then you replace the first stub with actual module, right? M2. The actual module will come with its own dummy stubs, right? Means I am calling a stub is also always dummy, okay, kind of. So M1 is now having actual M2. After testing this system with M1 and M2, we will go for adding M5. Okay, then maybe then M8. When we come from M8 back, then we will add the M6. After this whole part is complete, then we will go back to M1 and again in the next step we will add M3. So this is the depth first approach. In the other case, if we go for the breadth first approach, what will happen? We start with M1 and we will add M2, M3, M4. Means we will add M2 first, perform the testing, and in the next step we will add M3, perform the test. Then in the next step we add M4 and perform the test. So these are the two approaches, depth first or breadth first approach. So in both of the approaches, what you are going to do is start with the main control module. Okay, this will act as the test driver. You will replace these stubs with the actual modules, actual components, test the new component as well as the integration, and also perform regression testing. Okay, what can this regression testing be? I will tell you. Regression testing is basically when you add new modules. When you add new modules, what happens? There are certain changes in the system, right? So because of these changes, it may affect the system which was working fine earlier. So you are adding some new module. There was a part which was working fine. Because of this new addition, some new defects may be added. So if we execute the test cases which was already executed in the earlier iteration, then it may encounter some of the new defects. So after addition of new module, if we are performing those, it is suggested, I should say, that we perform some of the earlier executed test cases. This is done to ensure that the new errors have not been introduced. Okay. So in top-down integration, what happens? You start with the main control module, and you go on adding new modules and perform testing. In bottom-up strategy, what happens? Basically, we start with the smallest module and keep on adding new drivers. Keep on replacing the drivers with the new components, actual components. Okay. So what happens here now? There is a low-level component. You find out its driver, replace with the actual component, and somehow you make the clusters. Okay, this is a cluster. Then you cannot move further, maybe because its driver component is MA. Okay, so for replacing MA, you will need this cluster as well as this cluster also. So you keep ready these all the clusters, and then you will replace. Okay, what happens? For this cluster, you have one dummy driver, right? This cluster, you have a driver D2. After this cluster and this other cluster, cluster 1 and cluster 2, both are tested, then you can replace the dummy driver D1 and D2 with the single actual component MA. Okay. Similarly, when you have this cluster MA along with the cluster 1, cluster 2, this cluster working fine, and the another cluster, this thing MB with cluster 3 working fine, then you can replace okay, you can add this new cluster, I should say module MC main control. So what will happen in this bottom up strategy, you will get the main control in last. However, in the earlier top down strategy, what will happen, you will get the least unit in last. So because of that, I should say it remain a debate which strategy is better, right? So depending on your experience and I should say your approach, you can use any one of them, bottom up or top down. But what happens in bottom up case, you have this control, and it may be easy to show that these are the main control functions are working. So it may help in gaining confidence. Whose confidence? His all the stakeholder, I should say. Okay. Although in this case you may not get the actual data, right? So in that case, some of the test cases you will delay them, right? You will delay these test cases so that it will be executed when all these modules in this particular path are integrated. Okay, this may happen. However, in this case, bottom up, what will happen? You will get the data. You will keep on testing all these test cases. However, you will not have the main control. So you will see the main control only after integration of all the modules. So some of the test cases here also remains to be executed in last. So this was the regression testing. What happens in regression testing? Basically, each time a new module is added, some changes are there. So because of these changes, some new defects may be introduced. So regression testing is the re-execution of some subset of tests that have already been conducted to ensure that the changes have not propagated unintended side effects. Okay. Next thing is smoke testing. What happens in smoke testing? Very simple. What happens actually is some of the projects are time critical. So for such time critical projects, we keep on conducting this smoke testing. What we do, whatever the modules are already built and tested, they are integrated. I'm not saying big bang approach, but somehow maybe incremental only, but they are integrated, and a build is created. A build is created, and for this build some test cases are executed, and on these test cases we try to find out some defects. What kind of defects? Those defects which can throw the software project behind schedule. It is a time critical project, so we want to uncover the defects which can delay the project. So this smoke testing is being done regularly. Whenever a new module is built, they are integrated, and the smoke testing is done. All the relevant tests are performed, right? And smoke testing is basically done regularly to gain the confidence that yes, system is working fine, different builds can be made. One build can be integrated with another build. This can be done. So these are the things in the smoke testing. Okay. So next we will see some strategy. I should say the techniques. So these were some strategies that yes, we will use top-down strategy, bottom-up strategy. We will mix them. We will perform the testing on unit test on the each unit. Perform the testing after integrating them. Okay, but how we will perform the testing? Okay, that will be the testing technique. You have seen that in integration testing, in unit testing, basically, these are certain kind of testings, I should say. You will find out interface testing, boundary value analysis, and this different kind of testing. So these are the types of testing techniques we will go through in our next session. So if you have some questions, you can ask. Do you have some questions? Okay, if you don't have, I will ask some questions. So, Avanish, can I ask you something? So my question is, Avanish, why are drivers important? Avanish, you have to answer. Avanish, am I audible? Okay, in that case, I'm going for Aviral. Aviral, can you tell me what is the importance of driver? Okay, so you want to say that definitely we have our module, but we want to have some main module which would call our module, है ना? Okay. So next, Ritik, can I ask you what is the importance of a stub? Ritik. Ritik, am I audible? Ritik. Basically, these stubs, what are these stubs? Actually, I want to understand what are these stubs? Means these are piece of code or anything else? Okay, let me tell you what is there in your module. In your module, you have piece of code. You have code, and now you are going to test this piece of code. So there is something called a stub. Now, what this stub can be? Definitely, very true. These are the piece of code actually, which are called by your module. Your module is calling this function. Very good. So basically, what happens in this stub? You will have some dummy code. It is not actual code. Dummy code. Dummy code means just that much code which is required to return something to your module, right? So that your module could be tested. That yes, my module can call this function and get some output. Okay, this was something about the stubs and driver here. There is something called integration testing. In integration testing, there is something called depth first approach. Okay, I'm going to ask. Okay, we have two Ritik in our class. So okay, so Ritvik, I am asking about depth first approach in top-down integration. Can you say something about Good. Depth first approach. No, see, it is top-down strategy. In top-down strategy only, you have two different ways. One is depth first approach. Another is breadth first approach. You can say according to the diagram only. This is the diagram. See, so what can be? M5, first M5, then M8, है ना? Depth wise. Definitely, very good. Now I want to ask Rohit, what will be in the breadth first approach? Rohit, can you hear me? Rohit, am I audible? No problem. The only thing is in breadth first, what will happen? We will add M2, perform the test. Then again we will add M3, perform the test. M4, perform the test. Similarly, in bottom up, what will happen? We will start from the smallest unit here and go on adding the drivers. So these are something that we have gone through today. Okay. In next session, we will see something about what we call it. We will see the some techniques. We will see some of the techniques of performing test, and that's it. Not much. Thank you for today. Thank you. Thank you.